pilots. He has the full set, really. He's got the Spitfire, the Mustang, and the Kitty Hawk, and a Hurricane. What an amazing collection for one man to have. Well, now we have seen a Spitfire before today, but this will be a bit different. We'll have a slightly longer display from this one, and gives us an opportunity to look back a bit at some of the history of the Spitfire. Its roots go all the way back to 1925, when the great Reginald Mitchell started work on a whole series of high-speed seaplanes designed to win the Schneider Trophy races. And several aircraft later, his S6B won that contest outright for Britain in 1931. Shortly afterwards, clocked up a speed of 407 miles an hour. And at that time, the RAF's newest fighter, the Hawker Fury biplane, had a top speed of 207 miles an hour, so it was very nearly double the speed. Even the current military requirement only called for 250 miles an hour. So Reginald Mitchell, started designing a new single-seat fighter whose performance would far exceed the requirement. So Peter Teichmann is now getting airborne in the Mark 11 Spitfire. Isn't that absolute music? The lovely growl of a Merlin engine as the throttles come back and the maximum power just drains off a little and the note of the engine drops. So the prototype RAF serial K5054 flew from Eastleigh Airport, Southampton on the 5th of March 1936, powered by the new Rolls-Royce Merlin. Pilot was Captain Mutt Summers. It had this revolutionary new wing designed by R.J. Mitchell with his aerodynamicist Beverly Shenston. As thin and narrow as it could be, but towards the root thicker and wider to accommodate machine guns and the retractable undercarriage. And that was the start of the world-famous Mitchell elliptical wing. Later in 1936, christened Spitfires. There are some stories about how that happened. Most likely from Gordon Mitchell, who was R.J.'s son. Sir Robert McLean of the Air Ministry suggested it. He'd sometimes referred to his younger daughter, Anne, as a little Spitfire, and the dictionary definition was a person, especially a woman or girl, easily aroused to violent outbursts of anger. Here she is. See that classic plan form of the wing. One of the things about the photo reconnaissance versions is the wing is completely clean. They carried no guns, so the wing is not interrupted in any way. You just get that perfect elliptical shape.
Come back.
In 1936, the prototype appeared at a Hendon Air display, and the Air Ministry ordered 300 of them. Supermarine who made them were not capable of carrying out an order of that size. It took them a while to get going, but eventually a production Mark I was delivered to 19th Squadron Royal Air Force at Duxford in 1938, so it's the 75th anniversary of the Spitfire's delivery to the Royal Air Force. Things about the Spitfire is that pilots often say it just goes where you think. You think it needs to go somewhere and it does it. Well, here's a man who knows, the guy who's actually flying this Spitfire in front of us. It's Peter Teichmann, and he tells us why that is.
If you are flying a British fighter, you will tend to find that it will go up and down, pitch up and down really, really easily, but a little bit heavier when you move the controls for a roll left or right. They will be heavier. And when they talk about a beautifully balanced aircraft, it's one where the coordination between the rolling manoeuvres and the pitching manoeuvres is nicely coordinated, and everything is very smooth and works very well. And obviously, you know, the Spitfire is a great example of that. It's a beautifully harmonized, coordinated aeroplane, a very, very clever aeroplane, one which is very responsive to the pilot. You just think it around the skies, and that is really true.
Lovely thoughts from Peter Teichmann, who just loves his old aeroplanes. He doesn't allow many other people to fly them, but he spends a lot of time at air shows. He reckons that flying the Spitfire is the pure elation of flight. I think you could truly describe it as elation to see that amazingly beautiful shape against the sky. Lovely, beautiful sky, the blue and the puffy white clouds. So back to the history, and RAF took delivery in 1938. First of all, it had only 4 machine guns, then it had 8, like the Hurricane, in its wings. But with exquisite irony, R.J. Mitchell had died 14 months earlier, in 1937, despite knowing that he had cancer, not having long to live. He had continued working almost up to the end. He was just 42. But of course, his great achievement lived on. And by the beginning of the war, by September 1939, about 300 had been built, and the RAF had 9 squadrons of them. More than 2,000 were on order. And a new Spitfire factory was opened at Castle Bromwich, northeast Birmingham, not far from here. Of course, the great Spitfire legend was really forged in the skies over southern England during the summer months of 1940 in the Battle of Britain. That seminal battle that changed the course of the war and significantly altered the history of the world. And of course, together with that other 8-gun monoplane that we saw earlier, the more numerous Hurricane, Fighter Command had fielded 19 squadrons of Spitfires.
We've got to go on Tuesday instead. Ross can't do Wednesday.
Why?
He's got something else to do, so...
You may see R on the side of the aircraft. That is the squadron letter for 16 Squadron, because this aircraft did actually belong to 16 Squadron, built in 1944, then delivered to 9 Maintenance Unit here at Cosford, and eventually went to 16 at Melsbrook near Brussels, part of the 2nd Tactical Air Force. Flew more than 40 operational missions over Germany, France and Holland, photographing for damage assessment, to pinpoint jet and rocket-propelled aircraft on the ground, and to build up photomosaic maps which helped the bombers achieve pinpoint accuracy. So aircraft like this always flew alone, either low or high. They often got caught in anti-aircraft fire or got strafed by German fighters, including their new jet, the Messerschmitt Me-262, one of the few aircraft that was fast enough to catch her. After the war, sold to the Netherlands Air Force for £25. Went to their base at Dalen as an instructional and museum airframe, but restored in 1987 by Nick Grace and flew again in 1992. Which now lives the Hangar 11 collection at North Weald in Essex, and as I said, she's the only flying Mark 11 Spitfire in the world. Lovely victory roll from Peter Teichmann. .470 of these Mark 11s were built. It turned out to be the fastest, because probably the cleanest in terms of not having guns and things, the fastest Merlin engine Spitfire. Maximum speed of about 420 miles an hour. So Peter Teichmann about to carry out his last pass in front of us with his really beautiful Robert Spitfire of 16 Squadron. And many thanks to Peter for bringing his lovely beast over here today. And as she comes towards us, you can see how narrow-tracked that undercarriage is. You can see the flaps down at the back of the wing. Interestingly, the wheels fold down inwards, which means that, unlike the Hurricane, which they fold the other way, which gives the Hurricane a much wider track, the Hurricane's actually better at handling on the ground than the Spitfire is.